Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I thank the honourable member for this question. Mr. Speaker, sir, lending, as we all know, can entail significant risks, and without acceptable collateral to secure repayment, it's a key issue for credit institutions, who would largely rely on what we call immovable assets, land, and those entities on land. And most micro, small, and medium enterprises, Mr. Speaker, say may not possess them. So, in addition, lending secured by movable property was riskier, particularly in the absence of legal and institutional challenges to protect secured parties' interest in the event of a default. So the RBF, with the technical assistance of the Asian Development Bank and the Private Sector Development Initiative of the ADB, led the secured transaction reform, essentially to unlock the movable financing for MSMEs. So the project, Mr. Speaker, was in 4 phases. Phase 1 involved drafting the legal framework. Phase 2, establishing the necessary infrastructure. Phase 3 is dedicated to developing products and services tailored to MSMEs using movable property assets. And while Phase 4 involves evaluating the impact and promoting the uptake of these products and services by MSMEs. This initiative, Mr. Speaker, aims to support the creation and modification of lending products secured by movable assets. And when you talk about movable assets, it could be personal property, cars, etc., to name few. To date, several banks and credit institutions have developed or adjusted their products to leverage movable financing. And this includes simplifying lending applications criteria, introducing value chain and invoice financing products, particularly for women-led MSMEs. And the RBF, Mr. Speaker, continues to maintain what we call the PPSR, the register, and while working with ADB and the private sector initiative, or private sector-led development initiative, to encourage banks and credit institutions in developing new and modified lending products to improve finance to MSMEs. In particular, based on a baseline survey conducted in 2023, a sample of randomly selected 1,200 MSMEs are being considered for movable financing for the purpose of evaluating the impact of the reform. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, around 18 finance promotion workshops have been conducted across Fiji this year with banks, credit institutions, finance companies, to encourage the adoption of these new products among MSMEs. The target is to reach 1,200 MSMEs randomly selected as part of 2023 MSME baseline survey to measure the reform's impact. To date, at least 500 of them have agreed to share the data with lenders for potential financing. The RBF continues to promote further uptake among the remaining MSMEs. The Personal Property Securities Registry, the PPSR, managed by the RBF, has recorded over 120,000 notices filed by more than 120 client accounts, including banks, credit institutions, finance companies, other creditors, and the agents, such as law firms. So the registry, Mr. Speaker, essentially is an online notice board of security interest, enabling lenders and the creditors, collectively called secured parties, to register notices at any time in any place. So it allows anyone, Mr. Speaker, to conduct public searches on property rights over collateral. This is particularly helpful for prospective secured parties as well as buyers of personal property in private transactions. So, for example, if you want to buy a second-hand car or something, and you want to check whether it's free of existing security interest, you could simply go to the register and publicly search for that information. As at 31st April 2024, the PPSR hosted 119 client accounts, including 6 commercial banks, 4 credit institutions, 45 law firms, 4 credit unions, and a range of other secured parties, including finance companies, hire purchase companies, and motor vehicle dealership and individuals. The cumulative filings, Mr. Speaker, say by type, amounted to 124,762 filings, including initial 71%, amendment 4.9%, termination 16.5%, and continuation notices of 7.6%. So a majority of these filings are made by commercial banks, Mr. Speaker, and credit institutions, including Fiji Development Bank. The PPSR services have remained free for the initial 2 years following its launch. The ADB PSDI provided funding for the annual maintenance of the registrar. And in 2023, with the impending expiry of the fee period, the RBF board resolved to continue to subsidize the annual cost of maintaining the registrar for a further 3 years to 31st May 2026. So to avoid the need for iterative request for amendments in future, and given the potential for indefinite extensions for the fee-free period, it was agreed that the amendment reflect no fee to be charged unless as determined by the registrar for the following reasons. And in that includes the administrative burden for implementing fees, that it was in the best interest of the RBF to continue promoting filings, that it linked well with efforts underway to promote new and modified lending products. As such, the registrar is now amended to provide that no fees to be charged from the date of commencement of the Act until such time as determined by the registrar. The PPSR is the cornerstone of the secured transactions reform, providing an efficient, transparent mechanism for establishing property rights over personal property by lenders and other conditions. So with the amendment to the Personal Property Securities Regulation 2019, the RBF, Mr. Speaker, will continue to offer fee-free services to its clients, and the public search function remains available free of charge 24/7. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.